Welcome to this semester's course #How to Run for Mayor, where we explore the grandfather clause. Chapter 1's prerequisite information covers prehistoric residential activity in the Memphis area of days long gone by.
It is no secret that people had lived on this land, cooperated with one another and benefited as a result where while occupying it now, inevitably we hope after will be acknowledged as good stewards of where we call home. As natural every body of people who come together for the common good, there emerges a leader amongst leaders whose charisma affords those who listen the comfort to feel at home under their auspices. There perhaps, may have for thousands of years before we think been indigenous people that have inhabited this area and breathed the same air we do now. With such pleasant weather it's easy to see an atmosphere conducive to leisure time and the development of culture. People have run, played, fought and discussed how many chickens they will need to feed a lot of people on a consistent basis. This local position that ensures service and protection to those of a territory for the betterment of the same is more of an altruistic statesman, submitting his wills and wishes to the wills and wishes of residents. The body prospers more so than not through our guaranteed contract with time. The human mind hasn't evolved since the beginning of time, but our devices have, and with them accelerated growth with time. Why? Because the area was part of a larger network of civilized Mississippian people. Spanish in the 16th century first perhaps, experienced natives of the Mississippian culture, while French in the 17th century more likely did so to the Chickasaw.
Chickasaw is a well-preserved example of Mississippian culture, and the name means abandoned village in Chickasaw. The C.H. Nash Museum at Chickasaw is located within T.O. Fuller State Park, where the site was discovered in 1939. Reporting that it was literally ankle-deep in crumbling bones, bricks and ancient pottery on February 27, 1940 by the Memphis Press Scimitar sparked national archaeological interest. Federal officials stopped work by the Civilian Conservation Corps, and a team of 20 Works Progress Administration by the spring of 1940 under George Lidberg started excavating the site. Estimating the culture dominance from 100 to 1400 AD, the team found a large village with ceremonial and burial mounds proving them more than just passers-by but residents. In 1962 the University of Memphis 187 acres of T.O. Fuller Park was transferred for research and educational purposes. A village reconstructed as if it were 1400 AD on the site, which gives us a window into yesterday of how people here once lived. Research suggests that 3,000 years of living, life, and experiences was overseen by native administration, as peace and prosperity are their own rewards. The National Register of Historic Places added Chickasaw to its list in 1973, and it was acknowledged as a National Historic in 1994. The museum displays artifacts discovered over 40 years of excavations and named after its founding director C.H. Nash.
The Spanish mission in the New World brought conquistadores led by Hernando de Soto through this area in the 16th century, who likely encountered the Mississippian culture. De Soto is known for many things, such as his expeditions to the Yucatan Peninsula and Nicaragua, or even his assisting Francisco Pizarro in the conquest of Peru and subduing the Incan Empire. He is most known, however, for being the first European through the deep backwoods of what is now these United States. In May of 1539, 9 ships under De Soto landed in what is now Tampa Bay, Florida, at either San Carlos Bay or Charlotte Harbor with about 600 or more men. De Soto trekked with them from Florida through the now southern states and across the Mississippi. Without Juan Ortiz, however, having been escorted by natives to those of the same persuasion, Ortiz was surely De Soto's assigned guide prescribed by native authority. Ortiz was a Spaniard who learned the culture and language of the Mocoso by living with them, but Ortiz was previously captured by the Ozata from the Narvaez expedition of 1527. Long story short, by the spring of 1541 on May 8 De Soto arrived at the Mississippi River, constructed rafts, and made themselves across. He would die on the 21st of May 1542 on the west side of the Mississippi in the native village of Quackhoya. The Memphis-Arkansas Bridge bears his name.
A French expedition brought a fur trader, Sieur de la Salle René Robert Cavalier, to the area in the 17th century, who encountered the Chickasaw. From the Great Lakes in 1682 he would canoe down the Mississippi, claiming the basin for the King of France on April 9. He named it La Louisiane. Traversing the Ohio and Mississippi rivers is more than merely crossing, as had De Soto. The Mississippian culture established a fabric of life, traffic, and trade from both sides of the river, so traversing in this instance is crossing the river, landing somewhere downriver and returning twice as far down in all. Natives set up stations at popular crossing places and markets in places they'd land and return, where most people likely or encouraged rest areas where markets of communication and commerce strengthened the fabric of society from present-day Chicago to Lafayette in the Mississippi's Delta. The Chickasaw Territory covers parts of present-day Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee, and southwestern Kentucky. One of the 5 recognized civilized tribes, the Chickasaw entered heavily in traffic, trade, and communication with Europeans, learning language and mutually benefiting from trade as a result. There have always been avengers of blood, as referred to in the Bible as those who seek justice at any cost, so there are consequences for maltreatment of others that were so in prehistoric times too.
Though relatively recently discovered, Chickasaw is our proof of prehistoric residential activity in what we call now Memphis. Hernando de Soto's mission led him and his men across the Mississippi and in contact with this culture in the 16th century, and Cavalier traversed the Mississippi in the 17th century. When that is said, one must remember that behind De Soto and Cavalier were many more who interacted with natives who, like with Juan Ortiz, would go native waiting on reinforcement, if left without leaders. See you again next Monday for Chapter 2 as we discuss the city's etymology, foundation, and culture.